I'm so excited to be here today. Oh, thank you, Jasmine, for letting me know. I am so excited to be here today as one of the coaches speaking at the Better Habits Conference and to be part of this event with you. So, I want to thank everyone for being here today. And please say hello in the chat if you'd like and let me know that you are here. Hello, Karen. Thank you for joining. Hello, Deborah. Okay, so because we have a limited time together, I'm going to dive right in and get started. I'll be speaking for about 10 minutes. I think most of you know this already, that we have 10 minutes, and then there's a Q&A afterwards. So I'll ask that if you have questions to wait until that point. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Harper. I am a women's life coach. I specialize in self-confidence and law of attraction coaching. And I'm also a certified habits coach on coach.me, who is putting on this event. So today I'm going to touch on habitual negative thoughts, why our brains don't really care what we think, how our habitual mind is like a toddler, and how we unintentionally train our mind to focus less on our intentions and more on our habitual responses. And I'm going to share unique solutions to tackle these issues so that we're not stuck in a constant state of just wishful thinking. So being a person that we want to be requires making changes in thoughts and changes in actions. And many of us don't make these changes because of our negative habitual mindset. It becomes frustrating, uncomfortable, and really confusing because we know there's so many things that we want to do, but yet we find ourselves just stuck in limbo. And we end up dishonoring ourselves by tolerating whatever comes next day after day. So, how does this happen? Well, it doesn't happen overnight, obviously. And habits, just to go over what habits are involuntary thoughts and behaviors that are controlled by the subconscious mind, not the conscious mind. So we're not usually aware of our daily thoughts because they have become habitual, automatic, and normal to us. And most of us just don't question what has become normal in our lives, but we really should. So when it comes to habits, there's usually a repeating pattern that we follow. First, there is a cue or a trigger, followed by a routine and then a result. So, for example, we feel hungry at night. That would be the cue. And then we might reach for a candy bar and eat it, and that would be the routine. And then the result is you're no longer hungry. So we could apply this another way. Say that you want to start your own business, but every time you think about starting your own business, you feel fearful, which would be the routine. If you feel fearful and take no action, and the result is you just don't try. So that is the result, and you're basically doing nothing. So the more you respond to a trigger the same way over and over again, the more your brain shifts. It actually shifts its focus away from your initial intention and goal, and it starts focusing more on your habitual response. So, in other words, the more you repeatedly and consistently think about starting your own business and believing that you're going to fail and take no action, the more you're actually training your brain to habitually focus on the result of failing and not doing anything, and less on your original intention of starting a business. So same with the candy bar scenario. If repeated enough times, your brain will start to focus on grabbing that candy bar when you're hungry and less on grabbing anything else or even satisfying your hunger. And this is how bad routines and bad habits creep up on us. So we're literally training our brains to habitually think and react the same way while going further and further away from our original intention. And here's the problem. Our brains really do not care what we think at all. It just wants to run on autopilot so it can focus on survival and keeping us safe. That's all it basically wants to do. So if we continue driving the same route every day, continue talking to the same people, maybe eating the same thing and sticking to our habitual routines, it believes it's doing an absolutely fantastic job of keeping us safe and all is well. So you can say that anything unfamiliar can be viewed as a potential threat to our brains, even if it's something that's really good for us or something that we really want. So have you ever gotten just super excited about doing something like moving to a new place or learning a new skill or just changing something in your life? So type yes in the chat box if you've ever felt that way. I think we've all felt that way. And, you know, a lot of us are trying to make, thank you, Jessica. Sure. And I do too. So you feel this rush of energy and a sense of hope and excitement, and you feel empowered and ready to make that change. And then that all familiar voice in your head that makes you afraid to step out of your comfort zone kicks in. Well, that voice believes that it's keeping you safe, but you're really not in any danger. We're not in any danger. And it's faulty because it believes that you are limited and it holds you back. Then some of us might take that first step towards change. And then we start feeling slightly uncomfortable and anxious about the idea of doing something new. And now we start to doubt our decision to change. So then you begin to trick yourself into thinking the original situation, well, it wasn't so bad after all. And now because you encounter fear, it feels less threatening and safer than your new decision. So now, although you might feel disappointed that you didn't take any action, in a way, you also feel justified by not taking action because you've just saved yourself from this perceived failure that you think might happen. And this is a huge problem because studies have shown that at least 40 to up to 90% of what we think, do, and say is habitual and the same as the day before. And 80% of our thoughts are actually negative, or I should say up to 80% of our thoughts are negative. So most of our decisions might come from a place of our negative habitual mindset. So please listen. Our negative thinking is what created our negative habitual mindset in the first place. So you're probably thinking that I'm going to motivate you to stop thinking negative thoughts. Well, I'm not. Because when you become motivated, you change your intentions and your conscious mind is saying, let's go. let's do this right now. Let's make these changes. We're just ready and fired up to go. But you've changed your conscious mind, but not your habitual mind. And your habitual mind is like a toddler. For those of you who have ever had small children or do right now, your habitual mind it's nonverbal. It rarely listens to any new information, and you can't really talk to it. So motivation is really great when we follow through with action, but we rarely take action with motivation alone, and it does very little to change your subconscious habitual mind. So what can we do about that? So I'm going to quickly cover a few tips that we can go more in depth also with the questions. And I also have more tips after this if there is time to share. So tip number 1, stop focusing on your negative habitual thoughts. I'm not saying to deny or pretend your negative habitual thoughts don't exist, or that you should ignore your real problems that you have. But I am suggesting that you shift your attention away from your habitual negative responses and back to focusing on your goal or finding a solution. Because what you focus on is what you're going to attract and get more of in your life. And what you pay attention to grows. And this is where your energy goes also. You want to invest your energy in something productive, not something where you're not going to get anywhere thinking about. So when you ignore something, it has less power over you. So I just suggest that you step into your power and spotlight what you want. Think about it, write it down, say it out loud, and take action towards it to solidify it. Tip number 2, think of your future self that you want to be as your present self. Now, why do I say this? Because several studies actually suggest that we view our future selves like complete strangers. The same part of your brain that fires up when we think of strangers or other people is the same part of our brain that fires up when we think of our future selves. And since we value immediate results over future results, if we begin to visualize, to act, to believe, and to feel as this future person that we want to be, we're actually training and preparing our minds and our subconscious mind to view our future self not as strangers, but as we are right now. So we're bridging the gap so that our mind doesn't think of our future selves that we want to be as strangers. And then it's a lot easier to make changes. So I would suggest also spending a few minutes every day visualizing and feeling what it would be to be that person that you want to be. I have one more tip to share. So change your routine and surroundings. You don't necessarily need to make a huge change or start a new goal in your life to change your life. So you can repeatedly make small changes in your thoughts and actions and surrounding to support the person that you want to be. So maybe it's buying a new wardrobe or taking up a fun hobby like dancing or stating positive affirmations. Maybe you need to remove unhealthy foods from your home, or turning that room into an art studio that you've always wanted. So small positive actions, it changes our confidence levels because it lets us know that we're capable of doing what we want to change. And, it's it's really helpful to do that, to take action, sometimes more so than even trying to change your thoughts. So I'm going to stop right here and open this talk to questions. And I do have more tips if we have some time as well. So I would ask right now, if you have any questions, to please type it in the chat bar, in the chat box, and let me know. Okay, so Deborah, thank you for your question. Can you give an example of how we change the repetitive pattern so we get a better result? So when you say repetitive pattern, I'm assuming you mean the cue routine result pattern. Okay, the cue result pattern. So I'm going to go with that. If I'm wrong, let me know. So first, I'd suggest that you choose something that you do repeatedly that you'd like to change, and create a new routine to change. The result is what you want to change. So write down what you do differently. So let's use the example of starting your own business. Of course, it's different for everyone. And I'm sure it's probably different for you, but let's go with that example. So let's say you finally do start your own business. So now every time someone asks you what you do for a living, you tell them, maybe I'm a reseller or a photographer. And you tell them what you do, and then you walk away and you say no more. And now you become really frustrated because nothing happens. So you want to change the routine. So the next time someone asks you what you do for a living, which would be your cue, follow that new routine. Excuse me, follow that new routine with what you've written down. So perhaps now you give them a business card, or now you tell them how you can solve their problem, or how you can help, or maybe they know someone else that needs your services. So now you've changed the result by doing that. And perhaps you make a sale, you make a new friend, or the possibilities are actually endless. So by changing the routine. So it's not going to be effortless at first, but consistency is the key. Consistency and habitually going into that mode is going to pay off. And repetition and sticking to the routine are incredibly important. That's what forms new habits. I hope that answered your question, Deborah. Let me know if that answered your question, please. Okay, Jessica. Oh, you're welcome, Deborah. Jessica, what is the easiest way to form a new habit? Well, thank you for asking that. It is a good question also. So I talk a lot about repetition, and repetition is key to form a new habit. But repetition in order is extremely important too. So forming a new habit requires sticking to a routine. And it's easiest to maintain a new behavior if it's repeated in a specific context. So you're always going to want to anchor a new behavior after an existing habitual cue. And I know this might sound a little confusing, so I'm going to give you an example. So let's say you want to add a minute of meditation to your day. A cue would be when you hear the alarm clock go off, and the routine would be to practice your 1 minute of meditation. And the result would be your mind is more clear, you're more focused for the day, you're more calm, and you're ready to go. Reversing the two behaviors isn't going to work. So when you want to add a new behavior and make it a routine, add it over something you already do every day, like brushing your teeth, driving to work, going to bed. And there's really no magic formula to how long it takes to form a habit, but It rarely happens in the 21 days that you hear about. For some people, it takes a lot longer, and some people not so long. It just depends on you and what you're trying to change. So again, new habits are developed through many repetitive cycles. Repeated, consistent experience is what it's going to take to form a new habit. Oh, you're welcome, Jessica. Okay, quick tips. I'm not sure how much time I have left right now. It says time left 39 minutes. Okay, I will go over some quick tips. Thank you, Deborah, again for asking some more questions. A quick tip. Well, okay. When you have these disruptive negative thoughts in your head, like this negative thought loop that you usually have every day, I would suggest that you do something physical to snap out of it. You can try clapping loudly or doing some jumping jacks. I know it sounds strange. Or taking a few deep breaths. So the trick is to get out of your head quickly and to shock and disrupt your habitual thoughts by doing something physical. And I don't want anyone to think that negative thoughts don't have a place in our lives. They do. Most of the changes that we make are because we are dissatisfied in our lives, or we make these changes from a place of discomfort. And negative thoughts are actually great when you take action on them and you find solution. And these thoughts are there to let you know that, there's something really not right in your life, and you need to take a look at what's going wrong. And another tip is simply to it's better to chill and relax than to add another level of stress by thinking you must be positive all the time. You don't have to feel guilty for not changing fast enough. So just chill, you don't have to think positive 24/7. So if there's no more questions, I think I'm going to wrap up. Oh, you're welcome, Deborah. Thank you for participating today. I really appreciate it. I might have a few minutes left. I'm going to share one more tip, actually. So this might sound strange, but if your negative mindset is acting up, think of it as a separate persona and give it a name. So for instance, if you're going down that road of habitual thinking of, I can't do this, or I'm probably going to fail, or it's going to be a horrible day again, give that mindset a name like Bob or Carol. Naming your negative mindset or your negative habitual mindset, it reminds yourself that your habitual mindset, it's not who you are. Okay. So when you hear that voice acting up, you can say, oh, Carol, stop acting up. I'm not going to listen to you today. And this quickly jolts you out of that negative habitual loop. And it also creates a different persona. So you're not identifying so much with your habitual negative thoughts. So that is actually the last tip I'm going to leave you with. So having said that, I'm going to wrap up now. I'm assuming there's no more questions. I want to thank everyone for participating, and I hope you really got some useful information on how our habitual mind works and how you can apply it to your life. So for those who'd like to contact me, you can do so at elizabethharpercoaching.com. I do offer a free PDF on creating your manifesting space, which is absolutely wonderful. So please go there and sign up, and it's absolutely free. You can also email me, let me know what you thought of this event or talk, or you can sign up for a coaching package. And there is a link to my Coach Me profile as well on there. Oh, Bob, thank you. Thank you for that comment. I appreciate it. So thank you, and I hope to hear from some of you very soon. Thank you, Karen.